Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to my Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Thank you. Welcome to the Party Pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 110. I have Philipp Bagus on. He's an economist from Spain, and we're again going to talk about Javier Milei. He's actually going to be appearing on our Argentine television to talk about Milei's dollarization plan. How are you, Philip?
I'm fine. How are you, Chris?
Well, so I guess the first question is, how did you become a free market economist, and how did you discover Milei?
Okay, that is a big question. I found Mises through a book. Yeah, I read a book more than 20 years ago by Mises and one by Rothbard. I found the Austrian school by this, because I became interested in ideas. How come that there's unemployment? How come that some countries are richer than others? And libertarian or classical liberal ideas sounded interesting to me. So I looked for literature, and I found the Austrian school. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so any book, anything stands out that influenced any particular book stands out, or maybe it was an article. Yeah.
Well, it was Rothbard's Ethics of Liberty. I like very much, and then there was the book Liberalism by Mises in German, and it had an introduction by Hans-Hermann Hoppe, which was very impressive to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Milei, you asked when I found Milei. Well, here in Spain, he was. People talked for a long time, maybe 10 years. They talked about him, and then I'm teaching in our master's program. We have a master's program in Austrian economics at our university.
What university is that?
Universidad Rey Juan Carlos in Madrid.
Juan Carlos, the king? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Named after the former king. And one student arranged like Zoom meetings with famous. It was like still getting out of the pandemic, so it was easy to get people on Zoom. So he organized like Zoom meetings for my class, and one was with Javier. And then later on, we did a Festschrift. That is, how do you say in English? I think you say Festschrift. Yeah.
Festival.
No, Festschrift is when you write when a professor turns 65 or 70.
Okay.
Friends come together and write articles in honor of him. So
that's very nice. I don't know. I'm not in academia, so I don't really know what they call that, if they have a word for it. But yeah, it's basically a tribute. Everybody writes a bunch of tributes to the retired professor. That I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
So Javier Milei also, I edited it with David Howden. It was for our PhD advisor Jesus Huerta de Soto.
And you said?
Yeah, and Javier Milei is also a disciple of Huerta de Soto, so he was very happy to contribute to it. So I had been in contact with him for out of this reason also. Yeah, this is how I know him. And then he came once to Madrid, and we had lunch together. So I got to know him then personally also.
Jesus Huerta de Soto. That might be the first time I've heard his name on here. I could have forgotten, but that's. But I'll probably. Oh, and he's still alive too. 1956. Yeah. So.
Yeah. He's alive, and he's not retired actually. But in any way,
you just gave me another good person to get onto this show, Philip. He's getting an email. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can warn him. Yeah.
He doesn't do interviews, but you can try.
Okay. Yeah. But anyways, sorry. Let's get back to that. So that was. So what can you tell me about De Soto, since he was Milei's teacher?
Well, he's one of the leading figures of the Austrian school.
Yeah.
When I went to first time to the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama, they told me there that the best place in Europe to study Austrian economics would be with Jesus Huerta de Soto. So this is why, as a German, I came to Spain to study with him. Yeah, or David Howden came from Canada to study with him. So he is, one of the biggest guys in Austrian economics right now. Yeah, he has written very important treatises on money, on the socialist economic calculation debate. Yeah, and many people admire him, and Javier Milei also admires him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. It's you always learn a lot when you find out learn about somebody's teachers. Of course, there's one caveat though. He's got to speak English. I've only brought English music. So yeah, so you came from Germany and now you're in Spain. Yeah, so so what do you think about Milei's plan to dollarize?
Yeah,
How do you think that could work for him? And you know they're already dollarized in Ecuador and they dollarized in El Salvador. So
yeah, that is great because now there's the Argentinian central bank that finances basically all government spending it finances the deficits of all Peronist or Kirchnerist crazy spending programs. So this is a great with inflation rate over 100%. So this is a very big problem for Argentina. So if you take the power to create money out of the hands of the Argentinian government, this is a very good step in the right direction. And then Javier Milei also favors currency competition. So you can use any currency. You can use gold, silver, Bitcoin. Yeah, but when it comes to closing down the central bank, because he wants to liquidate the central bank, he will do it with dollars. So he will give the for the monetary base, the pesos that were issued, he will or the plan is to convert these pesos into dollars using the foreign exchange reserves and using the government bonds held by the central bank. So then the central bank is closed down. Yeah, pesos disappear,
yes.
and they are dollars. And then there's free currency competition. And then he wants also to reform the monetary system. He calls it Simon banking, but it's basically 100% reserve banking. Yeah, so there will be the new financial system will be a 100% reserve banking system, and there will then, on the other hand, there will be investment banks. Yeah, but there will be no money creation anymore by fractional reserve banking, and this is really revolutionary and very, very good for Argentina.
It's interesting too. People in the Bitcoin community are very, at least some of them are very enthusiastic about Milei. I know Peter McCormack of the What Bitcoin Did podcast, and there's a few others there, and I know another guy actually goes. I don't know I don't think this is his real name, but he goes by the name of Juan Galt. he likes Milei too a lot. Yeah, so it's I've had Juan Galt on here too. In fact, I ought to bring Juan back on here yet. So it's been certainly cool watching what's happening here. I mean, yeah, it's funny. Do all the pesos compete to see which one can be the best currency? Or do they all compete to see which one can be the worst currency? Because they're all pretty bad.
Yeah. So there would be one less, one peso less, and the important thing is then that the Argentinian government does not control the money supply anymore.
Yeah.
And that there will be currency competition, and then we will see what will happen if they will continue with the dollars. There are already many dollars in Argentina. Yeah. People are using dollars because the pesos are losing so much value. So it's basically finishing the job. Yeah, by closing down the central bank and exchanging the liabilities of the central bank against dollars.
Because I'm hearing that you already basically do use dollars for the major purchases. Like if you buy a car, or you buy a house. I mean, you don't use dollars if you're buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks, but or whatever their equivalent of Starbucks. At least that's what I hear. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's probably correct. The people save in dollars, yeah, and they probably also calculate in dollars, yeah, because peso is not a good
well,
way to calculate in.
well, now for the inevitable question: how does this compare to, say, what happened in Germany in 1923?
In 1923 in Germany, we had a hyperinflation. Also, people started also to use dollars and foreign
Yeah,
exchange, but of course, these foreign exchange were still backed by gold. So basically, people started to use gold. Yeah, and they stopped to calculate in marks,
yeah,
and they did also barter, and they used foreign exchange, and then there was a currency reform, but not such a one that Millet wants. That there was no foreign
yeah,
currency introduced, but there was an first the Rentenmark and then the Reichsmark were
yeah,
introduced, and they stopped they stopped printing money so fast, yeah, and this was sufficient to stabilize the situation, but only for a few years. Then they started to inflate again, and there was a hyper or suppressed hyperinflation than the Second World War. So you see, there was it
yeah,
was it worked for some time, the currency reform, but the problem at heart was that the government had still the control on the printing press, and Millet wants to get the government away from the printing press, or get the printing press out of the hands of government.
yeah. And that's like it's another thing. Just like socialism, it's easy to get into inflation, but it's a lot harder to get out of it. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I mean, in Germany it was actually that prices were increasing faster than the money supply.
yeah,
So people were saying we don't have enough money. So the central bank central bank president said, well, we have to print more money because prices are rising faster. Yeah, prices are rising maybe 200%, and the money supply is only rising 100%.
yeah,
So we have to print more. Why was it so? Because inflationary expectations. People were spending the money quicker and quicker. So it ran totally out of control in 1923.
yeah. And they started using gold. I can't imagine right after that war that they would have started using francs as their currency, but maybe that's what they were doing, or pounds, or I don't know what else
Yeah,
would they were.
probably dollars. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I just thought of francs because they're right next door. I mean, people didn't travel the world, quite as much then like they do now. So
Yeah, I think the French, for instance, were also doing good shopping in Germany
yeah,
with their francs in 1923.
yeah. So what do you think could what do you think what could go wrong with this kind of plan? I mean, obviously there are things that could go wrong. I mean, and what kind of obstacles do you think a President Milei might face if he does try to do some of these things?
Well, there's of course the opposition of the ruling class right now. Yeah, the casta, the caste, how he calls it. Yeah, so the politicians, the labor unions, the companies that are connected with the government, the people who get subsidies from the government, they will be all rise, or they will be all against it. Yeah, I mean, if you imagine that most of the Argentinian government spending is paid by the printing press. So if you shut down the printing press, then Argentinian government spending will fall a lot. So only by this government spending will fall, and many people will see that uh, their income will fall, because they were living, like parasites, out on others, on the producers. So of course, it's very nice to not produce and receive money from the government. So
We
these people will get angry.
Yes, we pretend to work and they pretend to pay us, right? Is that something like that? Yeah.
Mm.
But also I'm curious to know, because if this goes, I'm naturally wondering what kind of agitation there will be with, whether it be government employees and government employees, once they, if they're out of work or even laid off for 2 weeks, they go out and scream and make a lot of noise. And of course, the media loves to give them all this attention. I mean, what could come out of that? I mean, I'm just wondering, if there's, I definitely think that there could be riots or other things in protesting what's happening there. So
Yeah,
I hope that's not the case, but I definitely think it's something to think about.
he wants to close down ministries. I think from 18 ministries to 6 or 8. So many people, many public employees will be laid off and will have to look for a job, which will be easy to find in a liberalized country. But they of course would prefer to live as they lived before. But this will not be possible anymore. So how, if there will be riots, then of course the police has to take care of it, and then he has to remain strong and don't give in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not a politician. Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't come from. He has been university professor. He has been a chief economist for for different institutions. Then he went into talk shows and so on. And
Yes.
only later, and you probably know that he did a lottery for his salary, yeah, as a parliament member. So he's not
Yeah.
in there for money. This was also my impression when we had lunch, that he is. I mean, he's being attacked by many people, and he's living actually dangerous life. So why would you do it? He's not doing it for money. I really think he's doing it for ideas.
Yes. Yeah, he's doing it for ideas, and I think he's doing it because he wants to. He realizes the impact. He wants to leave the world. We all want to. We all want to try to leave the world a better place, I think. And maybe I'm and maybe this is over the top for me to say, but I think this is potentially a democratic capitalist version of the Bolshevik Revolution. I mean, it could be that big. I mean, if this works, I mean, this has never happened before.
This has never happened before. Yeah, I also think this could be something. Yeah, also because he really shifts the window of acceptable public opinion.
Yes.
Some suddenly libertarian ideas are accepted. Yeah? Not something weird or strange anymore, but something that people are proud to share. Yeah, and this is really a big change. Yeah, and
it's interesting. Just last Saturday, I went to this little event that was the 80th anniversary of. We were celebrating the 80th anniversary of the publication of Ayn Rand's novel, The Fountainhead. And this is the Fountainhead Forum, so there you go. And then I thought too that Isabel Patterson's book, The God of the Machine, came out in 1943 as well, and I said, okay, maybe this is something happening here. And then I was reading all these articles, this stuff by Phil Magnus, and he said that Marxism was on the verge of dying before 1917. And of course, it's not dead now. But I said, maybe this will be some kind of maybe this will spark the academy and finally could it possibly turn the colleges into capitalists? It would be miraculous if it did, but
the universities, academia.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. This is interests that are very long, for a long time have been established, cannot be changed. But it comes from the bottom up. It comes from the grassroots. It's especially the young people that are voting for Milei. Yeah, one thing with Argentina, special thing is of course that the country is basically destroyed. Yeah, I mean this is a very big crisis. The country is it's running to an end. So probably in most other countries, let's say the United States or in European countries, people still have a quite good life, yeah, and they are not in for such radical changes.
Do you
Maybe,
think sorry.
yeah, maybe we have to get a really big crisis first in Europe and the United States before people actually do such a capitalist revolution, as you allude to.
That's the question we've all kind of been asking ourselves, because does it have to get really, really bad before this happens? And you don't want it to get really, really bad, but it almost seems like it does. And like a lot of people tell me, said, Americans don't have it that bad. And I'd say a lot of people in Europe really don't have it that bad.
Yeah.
I've been to Peru. I saw what poverty looked like when I was in Peru. At least, you know, after going to Peru, I said Americans don't know what poverty looks like, and it might be even worse somewhere else than Peru. But I haven't found any place so far. But,
yeah. Argentina was is very, very bad. Yeah. Then we have the phenomenon that Milei had established already, following with his talk show, shows.
Yeah.
And he's a very strong character. Some people don't like him, but other people like him very much, and especially young people. And I also thought it incredible that he would get most votes in the primary elections. I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I was surprised to say, wow, that is fantastic. That's amazing. Yeah, imagine if he really becomes president. Yeah, and then he really does the thing, or he can do the things he wants to do. And then there will be a capitalist revolution, and Argentina will grow at 10% per year, and other countries then copy Argentina. Yeah, this would be such a revolution that you're alluding to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I wonder is are you going to have a bunch of another generation of Mileis? Because you know, I can imagine, you know, if let's say he has, you know, 2 terms as a successful president of Argentina, and then after that he opens up the Javier Milei School of Economics somewhere, and then you have all these students busting down the door to get in. You know, it's kids, you know, it's like
he has made a great impact on ideas and the political debate. He has shifted it to libertarianism, and this as I wrote in my article, this is maybe something much bigger than the Ron Paul revolution.
Oh, I think it's already a whole lot bigger. I mean, Ron Paul was never in this kind of position, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would be like Ron Paul becoming president.
Yeah, it'd be like Ron Paul becoming president, or at least, Ron Paul. And that's one important thing. I mean, because we've had some cases in America where people have gotten into positions of power and allegedly had free market ideas, and then they just didn't do anything with them. The person at the top of my list is Alan Greenspan. But, you know, but there are other ones. I mean.
Yeah, and Greenspan is a sellout.
Yeah. And the worst thing about Greenspan is now, as the media will say, well, he was a student of Ayn Rand. You know, he implemented Ayn Rand's ideas. I said, no, he didn't. That's the worst. To me, that's the worst case scenario you can possibly have. But it doesn't sound like to me this will happen.
My impression is that it will not happen, because they are doing all kind of smear attacks and smear campaigns against him. I mean, I would not do it. Like, I mean, I would not stand. I would say, well, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. All these attacks and so on. Well, he has no family, he has no children, so
yeah.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah, I can imagine that most economists probably don't want that kind of fame, but I mean, they at least want to be able to go. They want to be able to walk down the street and not have everybody know who they are. It's
Yeah, look, they tried to paint him as
Yeah.
a Nazi. They called him a Nazi, the typical thing. The thing is that he's Jewish and has many Jewish friends. So this didn't work in this case very well. But they are all doing these kind of things, and yeah, he has to be careful, very careful.
They call everybody a Nazi. And it's really gotten to a point where it's lost any effect anymore. It really have. It's the Jewish Nazis. That's the that's really very interesting work. What do you know about some of the people that are around Milei, like Victoria Villarreal, and I think Diana Mondino, and some other people some of his advisors, or some of the people who are able to put ideas in his head?
No, I don't know. I don't know them. I think he doesn't really need an advisor. I think all the ideas really come from him. I mean, he has very profound knowledge of economics. Yeah, I mean, he's a professor of economics. He, as you know, probably that he has named his dogs after economists. So one is called Murray, after Murray Rothbard. So he has very clear ideas. Yeah, he has very clear ideas, and he will execute them, I hope, when he gets elected.
Yeah. And I put a lot more trust in a dog person than a cat person. But I probably piss off some people with that comment. But
You probably
I want to
do.
know what a person's really like. Just watch how he acts around dogs. If he's
There are some people who have cats and dogs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to cats, but dogs are. I'm every dog is my friend, so yeah. But so I mean, so Via, you don't really know that. So you know anybody about it? I know his sister has a big influence. You know anything about her, or anybody else in his life, or any other influences?
Yeah, of course, his sister. When we had lunch, his sister, which whom he calls her the boss. She was there, of course, because she's the boss.
Yeah.
So Karina is the boss. Yeah. Yeah, and he's very open about this. Yeah. That he loves her very much and trusts her, and I suppose that she is the person he can totally rely on in this campaign.
Yeah, and when you get some fame, it's hard. Sometimes it gets harder to know who your friends really are.
Yes,
because you wonder, because it's the people who were there when you weren't famous, and his sister. Your dogs will still be there if you're not famous, and your sister was there before you were famous. It's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I said the same thing about Mackenzie Bezos. It says, well, Jeff, Mackenzie was there before you had all this money. Why don't you, But anyway, money, fame. Yeah, it's what do you know how, do you know, is he mostly just supported? Is he mostly just, what do you know by chance who might be funding Milei, or is it just pretty much all grassroots, a few pesos here, a few pesos there? Or
I have no idea.
Okay.
How this is funded.
Yeah. I know if he's an economist too, maybe he's at least handled his investments pretty well. And of course, if he's been single, he hasn't had to spend money on a wife or on kids too. So
yes, he auctioned off he gave away his salary as a member of the parliament also. So he has probably some other income.
Yeah. What has he done that, say, Jose Luis Espert didn't do, or other possible libertarian candidates in the past?
In Argentina?
Yeah, or anywhere. I mean, he's obviously doing something differently here.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. As I say in my article, he actually uses a strategy that is very close to what Mario Rothbard recommended in the 1990s. Rothbard talked about right-wing populism, that is addressing the people, talking to the people who suffer most from the oppression of the state. Yeah, so talk to those people who are actually productive and hardworking, decent people, and call the exploiters for what they are. And this is what Milei does. He calls the politicians all the time thieves, and this is why some people don't. Some even libertarians don't like Milei because they say they are insulting other people. Yeah, but Rothbard would say, and I would agree, he's just calling things how they are. He calls them parasites. He calls them casta. Um, so he makes them ridiculous, and he's not quiet when someone says something stupid, but calls them out. Yeah. So he's very good rhetorically. He's quick in his answers, and he has very good arguments that he employs again and again. So these things are different. So the way he brings forward the method and message, and then then also the program, of course. Yeah. So slash taxes, slash very radical, slash government spending, get rid of the Fed, or in this case, Argentinian central bank. Get rid of or get the criminals out of the streets, get the bums out of the streets, and also kind of conservative in the sense that Milei is against abortion. So there are some things that remind of this right-wing populism that Rothbard talked about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this really came to a head. For example, was he really reaching out to people in 2020 when these totally stupid policies came out in response to the big bad virus?
Yeah, he wrote a book, I think, about the pandemic, or no, something like this also. So I think he was on the right side of this also, because unfortunately, when the pandemic came, some libertarians disappointed that they were not coming out at a very critical moment. Yeah, it was a very critical moment, and you had to have balls, so to speak, to call them out for what happened. Yeah, so I think Milei was on the right side there also.
Oh yeah, he definitely. I don't know how you could say anything otherwise, and I don't know how you could possibly have ever supported any of these policies and call yourself a libertarian. I honestly don't. I don't know where it came from, and it makes no sense to me. It never will. But yeah, so yeah, that's really great to hear. What can you tell me about some of his opponents, like Bullrich or I think it's Massis is the other guy?
Well,
Yeah.
one is a Peronist,
Yeah,
and the other is more center. But they are established parties, established old parties that have ruled the countries and ruined the countries for decades. So Milei always says that there's not much difference between them, and I totally agree. They are like the establishment. What is really new is Milei. This is a new thing, and if he wins, this is very, very, very big.
Yeah, it's very big. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully this will all work out. What are some other things you think he might, besides the dollarization? How do you where do you think he might start with cutting various programs? I mean, there's obviously you can't cut all the trees down at once. It's going to take a while. Where do you think he'll start? And what kind of opposition do you think you'll see?
Yeah, he has his plan Motosierra, so his plan to just cut ministries. So he will cut many ministries, like gender and all this. He will just close down. Yeah. So, and he will close down. He will stop all subsidies. All subsidies will be
Yeah.
abolished.
Yeah.
For but I don't know all the details. Yeah, but I know that he has clear ideas and a clear plan, and this is the most important. So, and it's really radical because look, just abolishing the central bank, abolishing the Fed. This is just
Yeah.
and he really plans to do so, and he wants to physically eliminate also the building. So this is, he doesn't want to leave a doubt about that, and he brings this into the discussion. Now it is seriously discussed in Argentina to do
Yeah,
this.
that's one thing too. It seems like he's so nobody could talk about these things, and a lot of people are saying, some people are saying to me he's already won anyway because he's changed the discussion. I had one guy on here told me, he says, I became a libertarian because of Milei.
Yeah, I think many people in Argentina, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has very good clips on YouTube, which are very impressive.
Yeah.
And, engaging.
You know, if Milei wins, I'm going to compare this now to 1989, 1991. You know what happened back then, the fall of the Soviet Union and stuff. And while the Soviet Union was over, socialism definitely was not over, although we all thought it was over.
Mm-hmm.
What are these socialists going to do to try to regroup after this? Or are they going to? I mean, they're going to come back and try to repackage it again because they're hell bent on destruction. How are they? I mean, they'll reframe it as woke nonsense or whatever. What do you think they're going to do to regroup after this?
I mean, they have this globalist agenda already, right? They would continue with this woke thing, and they will try to probably destabilize Argentina and blame everything on Milei's libertarian policies.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's always the goal. Intervene in the economy and then blame capitalism. And
Yes.
and I have an ally said, they always have four goals: attack capitalism, destabilize the system, get as much power as possible, and create a Marxist utopia. That's from Karlin Borisenko, who I follow now and then, and who I follow somewhat. And yeah, that's what they've always been hell bent on doing. It's how do you think the situation in Argentina right now is fairly comparable to the 1920s Germany, or do you think there are some differences?
Well, in Germany we had a lost World War.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
This is, of course, traumatic, and it destroyed the currency totally. So there was a hyperinflation.
Yeah.
So the country was in a worse situation than Argentina now.
Yeah.
And it went on for a long time. The country also, was reduced in size. It has to pay reparations and so on. The Versailles Treaty.
Oh, yeah.
But Argentina is also in a bad situation. Not as bad as Germany was back then. But look, in Germany, then there came the other side. There came a Hitler type. Yeah, and now in Argentina now comes a libertarian that has a message that that is attractive. It's also because Argentinians say, and I have here Argentinian family who immigrated. They immigrated from Argentina to Spain because they saw no future for the country, that it was totally destroyed by the government. Yeah, that everyone, so many subsidies, people didn't have to work. So many people were just not producing, living on others. And in Argentina, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that this is a problem. There are no incentives to work, to be productive, just trying to live on others. Yeah. So there's much discontent, and the decent, productive working class people, they actually vote for Milei.
Yeah, it's a So what? Yeah. Who else do you think obviously the government employees will come out against this? Who else do you think will come out in opposition to Milei right now? Or who are some of his opponents out there? Just, what voting blocks, what?
Yeah, there are the created interests that have been created for decades that depend on. So this is like the military-industrial complex, maybe something like this. The labor unions, of course, and we will also have to look if someone from the outside will try to do something like the IMF or so.
Yeah. Are most of the labor unions in Argentina public sector, or are they private sector? I mean, almost all the labor unions left in America are government workers. There's hardly any. I mean, but you go back 100 years ago, it was almost all private sector unions.
And that I don't know. I don't know Argentina well enough to answer this question.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. So. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. So do you think you might have it since you? Oh yeah. So that's good. Yeah. So do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
I think we said everything, but we can I can conclude that it's a really revolutionary thing that is happening. Imagine that an Austrian school economist, hardcore libertarian, is going to be president of a country like Argentina, 47 million people, with a really radical program, and he aims to execute this program. So if this really happens, this is a really big thing. Yeah. So I'm smiling all the time when I think about it. So let's hope that he actually wins the election, because it's not done yet. It's not done yet because it could be that the other blocs try to collide against him, come together against him. Yeah. And of course, all the media is trying, media is trying to bash him down. So it's far from a done deal, but there's hope that it actually could happen.
Yeah,
so.
I hope so too. Yeah, and heaven forbid, there's always even the possibility that somebody, I hear he wears a bulletproof vest and stuff like that. I certainly, but I think he's already kicked off something that's going to keep going, whether he's there or not. But it's okay. Well, thank you very much, Philip. Well, please like and subscribe, follow the channel, like the video, give it a thumbs up. I'm Chris Baker, and I have a novel called Escape from the Village. Check out my Substack. Thank you very much, Philip, and we are out.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.